I actually, did you see the UCLA encampments?
Yeah.
So
Wild.
I actually helped destroy those.
Oh my
And I haven't
gosh.
talked enough about
Did you
how
go
I did
there?
it. Yes.
Oh.
So with my friend Cam Higby, we went and got the same red wristbands over at Staples. I knew it wouldn't be that hard to find because all it took to get into the encampment was a bright red wristband. So I went and bought the exact same ones, a whole roll, and we went in there. I was in disguise. I had my pink bucket hat on and everything. And I was basically there for research purposes. And I was going around having conversations with people, and these people are so uneducated. And I don't even say that in a harsh way. I'm saying like they genuinely are the definition of ignorant. So there was a...
It's not insulting. It's just the definition of ignorance.
Yeah, like that's the only way. That's me being nice about it because I'm low-key rude, but I'm keeping it nice. There was a big display on the Zionist side right outside of the Free-Palestine encampment at UCLA, and it was playing clips from October 7th. And I went over and I stood next to a bunch of these people inside the encampment, and they were all asking each other, what is that? What is this video they're playing? And why is it so loud? And I looked at them, and I'm like, oh,
What?
those are just clips from October 7th. They're like, what was October 7th?
Oh,
It was a light bulb moment for me.
That's so painful.
It's like these kids are just misfits who are looking for community and are looking to be able to say that they did something for good and for change. Because in their defense, if I didn't know the truth and I wasn't educated about what was happening and all I heard was allegations of genocide and all these different things,
and
I would be like,
TikTok.
oh yeah, like let's go and fight this cause. I saw this on TikTok, let's go fight this cause. But what they're not doing is they're not actually educating themselves on how this all came to be and how so many of the things that they're being told is a blatant lie. And how I realized truly again how misinformed a lot of these kids are is they have this huge sign inside the encampment where it's you name the issue. If you're black, because Black Lives Matter, you need to stand against white supremacy, which means you need to be against Israel. If you're Hispanic, they're trying to build unlawful borders, and you need to be against the conservative movement and all the Zionists because they support borders and they're all for...
Wait, this is on a sign?
This is all on a sign.
Oh, wow.
It went into Native American, like literally you name it. There was another sign that talked about why LGBT people should support the Palestinians. It's like, go there. We've all heard the jokes at this point. Like queers in Palestine is not going to be the same energy as queers for Palestine, for sure. And it's like, yeah, they'll embrace you with open arms and an open neck, is how I always say it.
Oh.
But that being said, like they have convinced these kids, if you are a part of any of these marginalized groups, you need to be against Israel. And I get it. As someone who is very passionate about real actual social justice and real actual helping people who are being wronged by society, I look at these groups and I'm like, you guys are so misled. You are so unbelievably misled. But I understand. It's like you feel like you can't lay your head on a pillow at night and sleep comfortably if you didn't do something to try to fight against this genocide. But no, what's really happening is Hamas is overtaking these people, and Hamas is miseducating these people and indoctrinating them from a young age, and all the rapes and the murders and the kidnapping and the terrible, horrible things that happened not only on October 7th, but so many times leading up to October 7th that led into this entire war. If you're going to do social justice, do it for the people who are being raped and murdered and kidnapped, because that's not happening on the other side.
How old are students did you see here? Like, are these like 20-year-olds?
So what was interesting is I got there pretty early in the day. And when I first got there, it was young. It seemed to be mostly freshmen and sophomores. From everyone I talked to, there was an underclassman or faculty at first, which I thought was really interesting. And then...
Or faculty?
Yeah, there was quite a few faculty members there, which threw me, but a lot of them were there. And then a lot of the kids there were underclassmen, which again went into this whole belief that I have that a lot of these kids are just trying to find community. Because by the time you're in your junior and senior year, you have your tribe in college. And a lot of these kids that were in this encampment, they are just looking for some sort of community. But then, so how Cam and I helped destroy the encampment is we just started handing out all the bracelets. I was like, oh, you want to go into the encampment? You look Jewish. I'm going to give this to you. I was like giving it to everybody so that like they no longer had a way to figure, and I did this during lunchtime. So when they were, or during one of the like the little marching sessions, I should say. So when they came back for lunch, they couldn't tell who actually was supposed to be a part of the encampment and who's not, which is why in some of the videos I have from it, you see me holding Oreos and Capri Sun because I was tearing up their food because why not? I had to eat. But as things got chaotic there, then all of a sudden these men that looked probably early 30s and were very, very Middle Eastern looking and barely spoke English all started coming. And I recognized a couple of their faces, and all it took was a quick Google search of things that were happening at Columbia, and I started realizing a lot of these same, like more aggressive protesters are the same people that were just at Columbia. They're making their rounds. They're making their rounds around the country, going from encampment to encampment. That doesn't even surprise me.
Like I acted surprised, but that doesn't surprise. That makes total sense.
Yeah, and it's just like BLM, because BLM did the same thing. And BLM did something that was similar to the Free Palestine stuff. When I went to some of the BLM marches, because I never participated in looting or rioting, for clarity, but when I got there, they would pretty much give you this QR code and be like, go ahead and sign up for this. So if you get arrested, we have resources for you. We have a whole team. And also if you want training on protesting, yada, 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 here you go. I'm like,
wow,
oh, this
that's
is the
organized.
whole organization. And it was the exact same thing when I got to this encampment. The first two things that I noticed were, one, they were handing me flyers with a QR code and telling me I needed to do that in order to stay in. So I pretended to do it because I didn't want them to have even my IP.
Yeah.
And two, I noticed the gender neutral bathrooms, or not the bathrooms, the gender neutral poop buckets, I should say.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'll never let them live that down. That's why I always call them musty anti-Semites, because that is just so nasty. To be sharing a gender neutral poop bucket, like that is the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
But all that to say, it is a very organized situation that's happening there. And I wonder who's funding it.
Yeah.
But I know as far as what's happening online, I can't say 100% who's funding what's happening at the universities. But I do know it's a very organized operation that's happening there. But what I can say is I know for a fact that Qatar is funding a lot of the big influencers who are now ridiculously anti-Semitic and just... It's like they wake up and they find a new reason to hate Jews, or they wake up and find a new issue to blame on Jews. And I saw some receipts and trying to choose the words wisely, because I was shown this stuff in confidence. So unfortunately the source has to be, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
But I've seen the receipts, and I know for a fact Qatar is paying a lot of these people a healthy amount of money. One person I did already call out was Dan Bilzerian. Oh.
Is he being paid?
Oh, he was in financial ruin. Allegedly.
Dick.
Yeah.
That explains. I've been wondering, because I've been on X and I've been like, how is this? Like in grade 4, like when we were kids, I feel like generally people knew what the Holocaust was and like that it was clearly evil. Mm-hmm. And it was like, how could people do that? Like, everyone kind of learned about that, right? And I was like, how are there people online now that are coming out and being like, well, maybe history isn't exactly what we were told. It was like, how are you? People know who you are. Aren't you worried that you're saying those things and people know who you like?
Right.
Like, that's insane. I've seen some insanity, but this anti-Semitic stuff that's going on is like, haven't you read anything?
Right.
Don't you know that this is like a repeat of history repeatedly? This is what happens. You're going to be part of the bad guys. You know those are always the bad guys, like, basically.
Right.
I don't get it. Being paid makes sense.
Right. Which
I
always
gosh.
say, my goal is just to be on the right side of history. My goal is that when history books are reflecting all of this, if my name is ever mentioned, it shows that I did what I could to fight some of this propaganda.